Hey everybody, it's Mike Carey with The One Good Reason. We have Xavier Hayes joining us live. Tonight's going to be a discussion about love, and I know we were supposed to do it on Friday, but some things came up. So we've actually decided to postpone it to June 9th. Ironically, is 6/9, right? And we're going to have, we were supposed to have a special guest on by the name of Chris Welshan. I think he is wrapping up a few errands right now, so we didn't want to hold it up any longer. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. We're going to start the discussion. If Chris joins us and is able to jump in later on in the conversation, that's, he's more than welcome to. But we wanted to just have a discussion about love and kind of wanted to toss around a few ideas. For me personally, I might have an unpopular view, or so I'm told, but I wanted to start the conversation off with when someone's saying love, what typically comes to mind to you? Are you looking at it more like some kind of transcendent force? Is it just a concept to you, or do you look at it like it's just like an action, or what comes to mind when you're thinking of the word love? And then I'll go ahead and jump on that once you're finished.
Well, love could be many, many different things to many different people. For me, love is more of a verb, an action word. Love is it's a muscle. It must be worked on. It must grow, and it must be nourished. It must be taken care of. We must work at the muscle to make it grow, and so it can live and thrive. So that's how I treat love. I want love to forever be action. Love is what it does for me. Love can you can have love at first sight, sure.
Well, hold on. You just went from
But
okay. So you said it was more of an action, right?
for me,
For you, right, in your opinion. But so when you're born, then if you're not partaking in it, if you're not acting and running, you can point at someone and say that's someone running or swimming or eating or whatever. When you're born, you might not be doing that, right? So for that individual, does love not exist until it is created, I should say, within that person, or until they act, until they do it? It doesn't exist. Or does it, for each individual, is each individual responsible for creating the love in your definition, or does it not matter that because because they have parents, let's say, or even the doctor or the nurse or whoever's there in the room when the child's born, that they might be exercising love toward the child, so love still exists? Or how do you look at that? Like, I know you said you have to practice or do it to make it grow and what have you, but when would you know how to do that? If you know what I mean, like prior to.
well, I think it's the difference between loving a person and caring for a person. Just because I take care of a person, or that doesn't mean that I love them. It could be just me just doing my job or something like that. I just help you out and change your tire. I can still hate you for that. Hate you for other reasons. But I care enough, maybe there's humanity in me to make me want to care enough to help a person. That doesn't necessarily mean that I love them.
Okay, so are you defining like love as like care on crack? Is it just like an extra? It's just a lot of care, or like what is like when you're? I'm trying to get your concept in my head. So it's like when you're saying that love is an action, is like caring synonymous, or is it caring like walking and love is like running or sprinting? Is it a more robust, a more powerful action?
I would say so. Yeah, love is more powerful. It's more impactful. It's love is something to me that's not only let's say not only caring for the other person, but because I love them so much, you know, I get something from it, whatever that is, some type of
feeling of bliss or
what have you.
what about when you hear someone say like something like unconditional love? Is it possible to have unconditional love in your view? I'm going to jump in here in a second, but I just kind of want to wrap up your position. Like something like unconditional love, like no matter what this person does, as far as how people are explaining it, no matter what this person does, or what they say, or if they're not developing themselves or constantly bringing you down, or if they're just toxic or whatever it is, however you want to describe this, just shitty person, right? Or whatever it is it possible to be to unconditionally love them, or to be unconditionally loved by another human being?
Sure, absolutely. I believe so. But I think now what you're doing is going into subcategories. Oh, we're defining love, right? Love, and
right.
then there's unconditional love, and then there's different categories of love. But for me to set a definition of what love, the plateau is for me, I think it's more of a verbiage or action. Yes, parents have. I think that's a great way to define it. Unconditional love to their children. Probably most likely, no matter what they've done or how much they are annoying or the mistakes that they made, usually a parent would forgive their child of that.
Now,
the errors.
Last thing I want to add on to that. So I know you did kind of highlight that. Yes, so there's a general idea of love, and then there might be set categories, or maybe not too many, but I mean, unconditional would be one. I would say. But then we went into a parent might just have infinite can't fuck up status, right, with the child, right? May. Would you say something like unconditional love? It might sound pretty or sound nice. That you have this person that will always give you the utmost attention and the utmost respect and the utmost care, nonstop, 24/7. Or do you think that is a weakness for someone to, to constantly love somebody and not
taken advantage of, for sure?
Yeah,
it could be taken advantage of.
That's a concern.
And it could be. And for that person, it could be their weakness. Absolutely, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so to jump into my view here, just really quick. So, I like the approach that you take, where you say love is almost like an action, right? Where you can see somebody doing it, right? And that's almost like the view that I take, where I say love is intermittent, right? And what I mean by intermittent is if you say, oh, I love my wife, or I love my dog, or whatever it is, and I say, well, can you prove that you love XYZ? They would have to go and demonstrate something. We would define it, and then they would go demonstrate and live up to that, to those means, right? They would say, well, look, I'm giving him food, or I'm hugging, or I'm kissing, or whatever it is. And then they'd say, well, I always love my wife, right? I never turn that off. But in order to demonstrate that to be the case, you would have to do it in bursts, right? You're not constantly hugging someone. Like imagine when you say you love this person always, and and you had the ability to just hug them 24/7 to constantly demonstrating this. It's like gravity is never turned off, right? At any moment you can experience gravity working around you. Whereas love is something that you can describe, you can point to it when you see something going above and beyond, let's say, or just that affection or whatever it is. But to me, it's intermittent. It's in short bursts or short waves. I don't think my wife would want me to be hugging her 24/7 when she's taking a dump or taking a shower or trying to drive to work, and I'm just like strapped to her.
You're describing the affectionate part, though. You're describing, you're seeing love as a physical thing. You're describing it as that, whereas me, I'm describing more as a action or a verbiage, or showing love by by doing things for them unexpectedly, not so much of huggy huggy, kissy kissy, fucky fucky.
Okay, so it could also so I'm not I'm saying, yeah, the demonstration part of it, yes, would be physical. Now, if you're talking about, like, okay, what about when you write "I love you" on like a birthday card or something like this, right? I'm not saying that doesn't count. I'm saying you're still writing it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You have to do something. So that might sound a little crude. I know that's a very unpopular view for a lot of people. But yeah, you still have to write it down. You still have to do something. It's not enough to just be, mute or mime,
Right.
and think it.
Yeah.
Because it's you constantly have to be doing this, and it might feel a little bit tiresome, or some might even say annoying. That am I doing enough? Am I doing it often enough? Does this count? I forgot to kiss this person goodbye in the morning or whatever it is. Does that mean I didn't love them in that moment or in the morning? To me, it's a little scary because, if someone says, well, how do you know that your wife loves you? And it's like, I don't have access to her inner thoughts 24/7. I don't. There might be times that she fucking hates me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's a little arrogant of me to say, oh, she loves me because, she says so or whatever. It's like she said it that time, but she would have to demonstrate that every time, and vice versa. It'd be a two-way street.
So you're saying that love must be demonstrated at all times to be in love. You can't
To be in love at all times.
to be in love at all times.
Because otherwise it's just a claim. You're just claiming that you love this person.
So
that's my view. And I know that sounds a little...
let's speak on that a little bit. So let's
Here we go.
that, I don't know, I haven't said let's say, I don't know, of a parent, let's say, a parent that you haven't spoken to for years, and they never said that they love you or anything, but they have done good things for you in the past. So should you assume that that parent still love you, even though they haven't demonstrated anything of love for X amount of years? Or should you have the assumption that they love you? Let us say the parent was great. You had a great father or great mother for many years, but you're an adult now. You don't call your parent up, every Sunday to say hello or anything. Probably, maybe just around the holidays or wherever you have a chance. So are you saying because of that, then your parent or you yourself
love is absent. Love is absent in that.
Absent in that moment?
Yeah. In all of those moments.
In all those moments.
In all of those moments. And that's what we miss. That's why we miss somebody, because we're not having those moments. Because, yes. For instance, right, I was in the Air Force, right? So I was away from home. And you're like, okay, so, would you, if you asked me, oh, did you love your mom or your dad, the entire time that you were away, I could say, yes, I did. I loved them every day. But when you go deeper into it, it's like, well, does it count to just say so in my mind? I'm not actually giving or demonstrating love to that person. That's the shitty thing that bothers me anyway. It's that there's no way to constantly be demonstrating love to somebody. Now somebody might say, well, you could be in love. They like that phrase, you're in love. And it's like, well, what does that mean? You're in love. And it's like, well, you saw something that you liked it enough, and then you just claim that that you love it. It's like, okay, well, I love fish, right? I'm eating the fish.
Well,
right?
Go ahead. What you're...
Well, yeah. So what I'm getting at is, it's a difference in just saying something that you're claiming that you love your parents.
Yeah.
And your parents would say, yes, the entire time my son was away, we loved him too.
Yeah.
But what's the difference in loving and not loving? If we're going to call not doing anything that you would consider to demonstrate love,
right?
Love. You know what I mean?
Right, but it looked like you was about to go into something else. Like you were saying something about people could say, "I'm in love with XYZ," but how?
Insert whatever you want. I'm in love with this movie, or I'm in love with you've already watched.
How do those people know that they're actually in love or they're in lust?
Well, I don't want to get into lust.
Some people confuse the two, though.
Okay, true. Well, okay, so if we're gonna dissect between love and lust, I mean, lust would be probably a short-term a short-term achievement, something that you want to experience. It doesn't necessarily be something that you want to continue, or it might just be one facet of love. Like if love had multiple facets, let's say, I love intellectual conversation, I love your cooking, I love whatever. You can fill it up with all these different things that maybe a person does. We'll keep it to humans. Lust would probably be more, I don't want to get R-rated here, but, lust would probably be more of, this is something that this person produces for me, and it's more of a selfish thing that I'm getting out of it, versus who gives a fuck how the other person feels. The person loves your cooking there, they might also tell you, hey, this is a good job you did on the cooking, and I appreciate that. There's that little extra bit. Whereas the lust for your cooking would be, get to cooking it, and I want the food, and the food would be the thing that I'm actually after, not actually the work that you put into it. So that's kind of the difference, I would say, with lust and love. But if somebody says, I'm in love with something, I'm in love with this song, let's say, I'm in love with this song, then they're only feeling those emotions when the song is playing. I mean, even if they're trying to recollect the song, unless they have some type of, omni memory or something, they're not going to recall every, drum and snare, or every, you get the idea.
Yes.
It's
So now, I guess I know I'm bouncing around here and there, but now to go back to what you were saying about the
intimacy, yeah.
Intimacy. No, that wasn't the word I'm looking for. No, I wasn't drinking that, folks. I was drinking this VSOP. It's not really, well, it's brandy. It's what it is. And I haven't bathed in 2 days, so I look rough. But that's...
Gotta love it. Go ahead.
But, yeah, so... No, why would you think people would get upset?
Oh, well, what I'm saying is intermittent.
Intermittent.
Because it's like they're being challenged. It's like I'm saying that they're lying when they say they love somebody who's not directly 1 foot away from them and they're constantly hugging them. But it's like, well, that's kind of the truth of the matter. Is if you're going to say love is these things and you're going to define it as showing affection or appreciation, or how are you always in love if you're not always doing these things by definition?
I guess I'm curious of what a person would feel angry about saying that. Okay, if that's what we're using as a definition of that.
I mean, we can get real with it. We can say, you walk up to a mom who has a newborn child who's laying right there next to them on a bed, okay? And if Mike Carey walks in the room and I say, hey, you're not loving your child right now, she's going to be fucking pissed with me. She's going to be like, who the fuck are you to say that I'm not loving my child? And I'm saying, well, what is love? Well, love is showing affection and care and this and that. Like, are you doing any of that right now? Because the first thing they're going to do is describe all these physical actions. Mm-hmm. Now, if they wrote down, I love my child, or drew a picture or whatever, and showed the child and whatever, they're doing something. So that's kind of the thing. It's a concept. Mm-hmm. And that's why I kind of liked your breakdown before we even before I got started was... you were looking at it more of like an action, like you're running, and that's kind of the way I view it. But where we might diverge, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but where we might diverge is we're not going to be able to run all the time, right? We're going to take breaks.
Yeah.
And, that doesn't mean you can't run again when you've recovered or whatever. But it's a little silly if someone to say, are you running right now? And you say, oh yeah, I am running. And they look at you and you're standing still. That's kind of why
in those gaps, what would you call it? Unconditional love? Or we wouldn't define it as hate. It would just be an absence of love.
It would be an absence, and it wouldn't be hate. No, it wouldn't be hate, because hate would still be
and I think,
a demonstration.
And the reason why,
and
the reason why I say that is because that's why I think what brings out the anger in folks about what you're saying.
My
that
view.
if you're saying there's the gaps or absence of love,
the gaps are big. There's more gaps than there are actual instances of love.
Yeah,
and that's the emptiness that.
Yeah, and I mean, longing for people and being missing them and stuff like. So, I think that's the whole key there. That people will say and people will believe that. Okay, what are we filling in those gaps with? If it's not hate, then what is it?
I'm not going to claim to know what that is. I would say, it would just be speculation. I mean, really, if it would just be pleasant thoughts. I'm,
Well, people would say, what you think they would say, unconditional love?
See, unconditional
For those-
love. See,
for those gaps?
unconditional love, though. I mean, if such a thing were to exist, you could demonstrate it. If you could actually demonstrate unconditional love, I mean, I probably could. I could. I don't know. I could use this bottle of Johnny Walker, right, and say I have unconditional love for this fucking bottle of Johnny Walker, and I want to demonstrate this, right? So we're gonna do a little test, and I'm gonna hug on this. First, we have to define what love is, right? So we give a couple of definitions, a couple of physical things, right? Appreciation, this and that. So I'm saying it, I'm holding it, I'm rubbing on it, I'm doing all these physical things. At the same time, I'm writing a sonnet about Johnny Walker. I'm taking photos with it. I'm telling everybody, I'm calling people, I'm walking around with it, showing it to everybody I know, and I'm constantly bigging up Johnny Walker, right? Now, because that's an inanimate object, it would be like, well, is that a relationship that you're having, or is that a one-sided thing, right? Mm-hmm. And now we get into lust. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, was that really love? So that might not really qualify. It would have to be with something else that could reciprocate what I'm doing. Now, once you bring in a free personal agent, put determinism aside. Once you have another free personal agent who's engaging and reciprocating what you're doing, you would basically be latched to this. We'll call it another person. Mm-hmm. And you would, every waking second would have to be with this person. I mean, even when you're sleeping, you'd have to be in some form doing something that, like hugging or doing something, some kind of contact. Or even if it's just, I'm going to sleep on the floor, you get the whole bed because, I love you or something. But the moment you do that action and allow them to have the bed and you lay on the floor, now you're no longer, I mean, it's I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible to have unconditional love without having some crazy circumstance like that where you're just constantly glued to the other person.
So what do you guys think? How would you define?
Oh, they're gonna hate my fucking
those. How do you define those gaps of not showing love, not saying that your love to your loved ones? How would you define those times? Would you think is hatred?
No.
Or what would that be? What would that be? Leave a comment down below. I'm just curious about that a little bit.
I was thinking about. It's kind of funny that you're really highlighting these gaps, right? With the absence of love, something that you claim.
That's the anger word.
That's exactly. So that's what it manifests into. Now you might be distracted because something else that you love is nearby. So that's what keeps you afloat in those gaps. But if you're completely isolated from anything, I don't know what that would look like. But yeah, you'd be longing for those previous experiences unless you had not experienced love to begin with. And that's kind of see what I'm saying? So, but somebody was saying to me, they brought up that old saying where they said, sleep is the cousin of death. And I kind of chuckled and he said, "Oh, you don't like that saying?" And I said, "Well, that's a little silly. I mean, you're saying sleep is I get the idea, but what would you say the cousin of life is, or would there be one? Or I mean, that doesn't make sense, So, but the reason I brought that up is because you're mentioning these gaps. I mean, would those gaps be the potential to love, or I don't want to see. It's just speculation. But that's the thing that I bring up that I get a lot of hate for, and I will use that word hate. That I get a lot of animosity. I'll say when I mention that whoever it is, we'll stick to humans again. Whoever it is that you're claiming to love, nearby, long distance, whatever, online, whatever it is. As soon as you're not engaged in acting and doing something, technically you're not loving that person, and it might feel disrespectful for someone to hear that, So I can do it from the safety of my home here in my office and say that, But if you ever walk up to somebody and say, hey, you're not actually loving your child because they're 2 feet away from you, you're not holding their hand, or you're not doing something.
So what are they doing?
That's the thing. That I don't have an answer for that. And I'm not gonna, I'd have to take more time to think about that.
Anybody wrote anything? Let's see, Amanda wrote, love.
Yeah, go through the comments real quick. We'll take a drink.
Amanda says, love is feeling whole, even not in the other presence, just knowing if they wasn't alive, that you don't feel empty. Shannon says, I have to love myself first before I can love or be attached to any other human.
I agree. I totally agree. Now, I might be wrong, but I think I agree with Shannon. The remember the first question I said, when you're born, you're not, I mean, by definition that we agreed on, I mean, sort of agreed, you're not doing anything to maybe to love your mom or whatever. So when I agree with Shannon and I say we have to love ourselves, it's kind of, when does that begin? When do you start loving yourself before, you know what I mean?
Maybe
like
when you're
if you don't know what it is, someone would have to show it to you. So it's kind of, it's scary because somebody has to show, hey, there's this shit called love where, I'm going to take care of you. You don't have any clothes. I'm going to give you some clothes, and I'm going to, give you a house and some food. And you're like, why are you doing this for me? Why are you? And they try to explain, and it's like, well, I don't know. Like, when I see you, I'm giving you more importance than this other thing. That's pretty much what it boils down to. And then, when it might go to going back to that young state when you're a child and you're kind of being, shown these things about how love works in a very, basic way. It's kind of like, let me try it, right? You want to try it, but like when I was agreeing with Shannon, it's like, do you try it on yourself? Because that's the kind of thing. Like I readily agree with that because it makes me feel good, and I'll say that, and then when I start like being the mirror, I'll be Whitney, like, am I?
What did Whitney say? What did Whitney Houston say? She said the greatest love of all is learning to love yourself.
And that's fine, and I might agree with that, and that's whatever. But I don't know if I'm wrong. Yeah. Just because it's it might be something I agree with, but it's like if we're gonna say you have to act. I mean, what would you do to love yourself? Let's, like, what would? Yeah, hey guys, it's June 9th, right? 69. This guy. No, but what would you actually do to show love to yourself? Young, starting out, if you in the beginning of your life, really. If we're going to challenge our opinion on starting with yourself, like putting your face mask on right in the airplane before you care for somebody else, how do you do that as a child? Like starting off trying to love. Is that
I think it'll probably be more selfish than selfful. I think you'll be more selfish in doing for yourself.
But is love selfish?
Love is not selfish.
So.
But being self-love, having self-love is not being selfish.
Can you give me an example of self-love?
Self-love is that I'm going to put myself first.
But is that selfish?
No, it's not. Let me finish.
Okay.
I'm going to put myself first and take care of myself in order to take care of you. If I have only $10 for the rest of the week, and you have $0, you will be stealing from me if I give you the last $10 from myself, because I have to. It's self-preservation. I have to take care of myself. What do they? Example: when you're in the airplane, what do they tell you to do if there's I guess the plane is coming down and what they call the oxygen.
Yeah. I was just saying that. Yeah, you have to put your mask on first.
You're supposed to put your mask on first and then put it on your child or your passenger. You can't take care of that child or your passenger if you're fainted out yourself. That's having self-love for yourself, knowing that you must take care of yourself. You must build yourself, give yourself nutrients. Have abundance. When you have abundance, you can be able to give to other people.
Okay, I think I agree with
that. That's self-love. If you don't have it, and if you're giving out to people that you don't even have, they are stealing from you.
So what do you think about altruism then? I mean, because altruism, now again, I don't
now we're rare.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I know we got a little bit of time left here, but I don't advocate you guys go out there and be fucking altruistic. Okay, I don't want that on my conscience, But when I see somebody go in a burning building and they save a child, and they come out and they fucking save that child, I'm happy. I'm like, wow, that person's amazing. But I'm not going to go up to that person and say, you need to go in that fucking building and save that child, risk your life.
No.
You know what I mean? But altruism, just like you said, I have the $10, you have the $0. You're stealing from me. So, but some people, a small percentage of people, will do that.
Yeah.
Are you?
Maybe different
I don't want
circumstances.
to straw man what you're saying, but are you saying? Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you saying that you should not do that? You should not go in that burning building to change the scenario. Should you not go in the burning building to save something that you find value in, like a human being, a child, something, a dog? Should you not go in there to save it because you only have one life and situation is what it is, or are there certain situations where you're actually helping yourself because maybe you won't be able to carry on with that if that person were to expire?
Yeah, I mean, that could be the situation. I could have equipment, for me to go into the burning fire to save that person.
Firefighters,
or,
right.
I mean, or if people do that all the time for their pets and stuff like that. It depends on.
Or you're saying not to do it.
And there's people there's sometimes, even for firefighters, they sometimes they can't even go into the building because it's just a complete loss. So they have to make that judgment call. It all depends on the situation, the circumstance, and yeah, it sucks sometimes. Sometimes, if I don't know how to swim, Mike, and if there's a child that's in that lake drowning, I want to be the best person to go out there. What I'm going to do, just automatically know how to swim to get that child. We'll both drown. We'll both be killed.
I see what you're saying. So, there's still rationality involved. I have to have the ability. If I don't have the ability, okay, now I see what you're saying. Full circle. Okay, I need to have the ability to provide.
If I don't have the ability, to give you the $10, even though I have $10, but I'm going to be broke for the rest of the month, I shouldn't do it.
Right, because then you're going to rely on them maybe to give the $10 back, and then what are you guys doing? You're just passing $10 back and forth.
Love.
All right, guys. Really appreciate you guys joining. Hopefully you liked our conversation about love. Don't attack me too hard on my position. Yes, I do say love is intermittent. This is kind of one of the reasons I've postponed doing this talk for about 2 years. So I'll be interested to see what some of the comments say. But again, this has been Xavier Hayes and Mike Carey signing off with the One Good Reason. We were supposed to have Chris Welshon on, but again, he had some prior engagements, and we'll try to come on more often. I'm getting settled into my new house. I'll probably do a walkthrough once I have some free time, but we want to keep this video short. So again, short and sweet. Love y'all, right? And you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy your 6-9. Take care.